Seconds. Hey! Woo! We're back! Welcome back, everybody. We're here. We're ready to be loud, ready to be a little bit chaotic, ready to welcome everyone back to
I was
this
so ready for you to say,
I know, I was.
We're here. We're queer.
Queer. It was so anticipated that I was like, you know what? Not my space too, but I'm glad you said it. Do we want to just I'll do a hard restart. Ready? Sly, you open the show. Ready? Action.
Hey everyone, we're so happy to be here. We're queer and we're back for a new episode of Dark Radio.
I feel like I need a confetti popper, and like a
yes.
you know, those like balloon party things that you. Anyway, we're back. I'm seeing lots of familiar faces. Hello, Claw. Hello, Sylvan. It's so nice to see everyone. It's been a few weeks. We've been busy. Lots cooking up behind the scenes. Hey, Leah. Nice to have you back. Is it Leah or Leia? Let us know in the comments. I see JJ. We've missed you. So glad you've been holding down the fort with your lives. What's everyone been up to over the past few weeks? I know what we've been up to behind the scenes. Wink, wink, news to come. But in our lives, what have we been watching? What have we been seeing? Let's do like a little cute catch-up time. And if you're watching, let us know in the comments what you've been up to these past 3 weeks without us. What have you been filling the gap with? Who have you been watching? What have you been listening to? Who wants to start? Marissa, I always make you go last. Do you want to go first?
Oh, go ahead.
Or not?
No, Sly is ready to go. Let Sly go.
Sly, you kick us off.
So yesterday was a very exciting day. We had our live stream for our PIP 1 year anniversary. So we've been making content for Point in Progress for 1 year this weekend. And so you can find, we made 2 videos about just who we are and all of our content from the past year. Those are going to go up Monday and Tuesday as usual, but not our typical content. That was fun. Also, we have MC University coming back soon, so look for that. And then for things I've been watching, playing, whatever, I started playing a game called Letters, and it's story told through writing letters with like a pen pal, and it's also like a word puzzle game, kind of platformery, but it's really cute. Really interesting story so far, so that's fun. And then I started watching the new Apple TV show Suspicion. And the first 3 episodes have been released so far. And I'm interested. I'm hooked. We'll see how it goes, but right now...
Can I ask you a skill testing question?
Yeah.
Which MCU character would like that show and which would hate it?
Oh, I have no idea. I feel like Nat would like it, but she would figure it out from like the first episode. That's how I'm feeling right now.
That's enough to sell me on it. I love that. Marissa, what have you been up to?
Okay. I've just been like hanging out, you know,
Just
vibing.
chilling.
Yeah, just chilling. It's winter in Chicago, so it's not fun to do anything except sit in the house. But I'm in a comic studies class right now in school, and I read comics now. I've read 3 comics.
Thank you reader. Very much. She's a comic reader.
Very much. I have read the Black Widow Infinity comic, and I wrote a paper on it.
I tried to write the paper on it. She would not let me.
Alexis tried to write a paper on it for me. I said, please wait until I turn it in.
Here's a question for everyone watching. Should we invite Marissa's professor to the show? If you think
Please?
so. If you think so, we'll send him the link to this.
I have a
want
really,
to interview
really good grade in this
professor.
class, so it's possible. And then literally last night, I read both the first issue of Miss Marvel: No Normal and all of Black Panther: World of Wakanda. Thank you very much.
We love.
Actually, I think I read like the first 3 issues of Miss Marvel. I was only supposed to read the first one, and then I just kept going because I was like, that was not enough information.
Why not?
It was great.
JJ says, would like to read both essays. What if we did like spoken word poetry night, but it's just you reading your essays?
I mean, it's a lot about how like it's about the structure of the comic. It's not really about like the story per se. It's just about like how the comic is organized and how that affected how it was sold. So I guess not sold because it's an exclusive Marvel Unlimited thing. But whatever. Yeah. I mean, if you would like to read it, you can, but it is about how there are no gutters and arguably no panels in that comic, and it's not really fun.
Right on.
Unless you like that sort of thing.
It
Maybe
sounds
Alexis
fun
think that's
for
fun.
me.
Alexis wrote hers entirely in a group chat text message sitting on her bathroom floor. So it's also not the work.
It's
of
true.
genius.
Speaking of Alexis sending messages to the group chat from the bathroom floor, Alexis, what have you been up to these past few weeks?
Nothing. I'm just living. I went back to working with some of my adult English students. Today they were all 11, so that was, very adult. And when I do that, my cats feel the need to like be a part of that conversation. I think because when I first started, I was teaching mostly young kids, and they were very excited to see the cats, and so they like march their butts up here at like 2 a.m. and sit in these chairs and like glare at me like, woman, why are we doing this again? And when I came up to do this, I think they thought it was the same thing. So they're currently both sitting here like half asleep looking at me like, why are we doing this again?
Well, it is kind of the same. You do teach us something new every week. It's
Absolutely.
just like you do it for free out of the love of your heart and because we're all besties here, right?
Absolutely. I would love to take Alexis's class. I've said that several times. I'm waiting for the syllabus.
Mass chaos.
We're actually, the new show is just Alexis teaching all of us. So you will be graded on your participation in the chat.
But it's like a different
you
topic
can teach
every
me
week.
English if you want.
Because I feel
could
like
use it.
I bounce topic-wise. One day I'm like, I'm going to rant about, I don't even remember, that argument I got in with the local radio station about whoever it was. And then like the next day it was like, so the mafia in New York. Like
It's been all over the place. It's like art history, Russian politics, the Sotheby's.
But then it's also like pause the whole conversation. What do we think of these candles? Like, I'm going to stop this very serious conversation because I'm at Michael's.
I don't know what candles to get, Marissa. Yeah.
Listen, if you want a university course, Sly literally has the show for you. Thank you, JJ, for the plug. Check out MC University on Point in Progress, where I will inevitably join and talk about Andrew Garfield and have a grand old time.
It'll be exciting. If you want to catch up right now, our next movie is Spider-Man 2.
I do love Spider-Man 2.
That's a good one. Will be listening.
Can we all applaud how I just figured out how to make myself not look totally washed out with this camera? I don't know if anyone noticed when my camera changed, but I now officially look like a real human.
I look like a ghost.
Do I still look red
great.
as
Liz?
fuck for Liz?
Oh my God. I was watching our show back trying to find a clip one day, and on my TV, the way it's color graded, Sly was just completely red. Like it was like watching VeggieTales. I was like, what happened to our show?
Alexis, everyone in the comments wants more information about the Mafia and a Marvel 101 class. So you've really got some courses to build. Let's get some lesson plans.
Get on it, bestie. Let's hear it. That's what she's been doing over the past 3 weeks, actually, is building these courses for all of you. We'll be launching a
Speaking
Patreon
of
very
which,
soon.
Elizabeth,
That'll be
what
a
have you been
Patreon
doing the
tier.
last few weeks?
Well, I'm glad Claw is here because we've been having some fun over on another platform with some friends, including Danielle Silverstone, Bunky, Voices of Atlas crew, Bird and Shop, your fave Asian, all kinds of different TikTokers and folks from the MCU community watching the High School
Shoot
Musical
podcast.
movies. The Oh Shoot podcast. Yes, Ellie. You should go subscribe to her podcast if you don't already. She's super fun, and lots of our friends have been on the show. Yeah, we've been watching High School Musical live with all kinds of folks on Friday nights, and it's been the best time. You can go to Danielle Silverstone's account if you're looking for the links if you want the replays and things. So we've been doing that for the past 3 weeks. But for me, I have been, hanging out. It's my favorite time of year. It's PR season. I'm a PR girly pop.
How is this weather your favorite time?
It's not. We are seasonally depressed and thriving because it's officially award season. My PR energy is coming out. I'm dissecting all of the interviews. I have been posting some hot takes about PR on my account, and I'm having my first experience with going semi-viral, and it has been quite a roller coaster. I'm really feeling like I'm super happy with the community we're building. And I love when y'all see my shit and we talk about it, but like the greater internet is a scary place. And I'm also waiting for Taylor Swift to keep doing her thing because apparently a bunch of Taylor Swift sounds got taken off of TikTok. Cue like gaspy kind of sound. That's a pretty big deal. It might mean that 1989 is coming sooner than we think. And she put out Joker and the Queen with Ed Sheeran yesterday on Friday. And big deal with that music video is that it features a university on the east coast of Canada. And I woke up to a bazillion text messages being like, did you see the music video? And I was like, no, why? And they're like, it's the University of New Brunswick's in it. I was like, y'all are literally lying to me. Like, that is so silly. Sure enough, there it was, the University of New Brunswick. So that was a fun little weird thing that happened that I felt very personally connected to. But I have lots more to say about PR and award season. I've got a lot to say about Andrew Garfield and his red bottom shoes. So we will get to all of it. What else has been happening this week? Is there anything else we want to talk about or tease or energy we want to put out into the universe while I pull up our next game?
The Marvel Netflix shows are leaving. Single tier. Everybody's going to be fine. Everybody's going to be totally fine. They're absolutely going to Hulu. Everybody calm down. Please just calm down.
Speak for yourself. I don't know who you're talking about.
Disney will not allow there to be a point where you cannot watch arguably the currently most popular show on Netflix. Why would you think that would not be an available option for you after Hawkeye and No Way Home?
But
clearly, they want you to watch the show. They're going to make it available somewhere. It's going to be fine, everyone.
Yeah. I have loved men on the internet trying to explain it to me like I'm 4 years old. Like I've seen a lot of videos that are like, so the shows are leaving Netflix. I'm like, yeah. As I saw on Google News. Like I
also like the people that are angry at Netflix. Like it's in their control. When it's not. They're like, why is Netflix getting rid of the Defenders shows? It's like
their contract expired.
Disney owns them. It's like they're just taking them back.
Yep. No. The intern of the week was like, I don't like that anymore. Drag to trash can.
I'm obsessed. I'm just going to let everyone on TikTok watching know we're about to start a game that if you're watching on YouTube and Twitch, you'll get the full experience of. So now's a great time to head on over. You can get a link in my bio, producer Liz, if you want to come see all 4 of us. And I think Marissa's telling the same to her folks. But if you watch every week, you know what time it is. It's our favorite, most chaotic point of the week before we start having real claws in the conversation. And I'm seeing the chats coming in, and there are things y'all are dropping that are going to come up throughout the episode. So just hold on tight to your seats. We're in for a wild ride tonight. It's time for our rant game. If you're new here, buckle up. This is the game where we each have 2 minutes to give a rant of something we feel very passionately about. However, we have to give our rant in 30-second segments. So you see the order on your screen. It's me, then Marissa, then Alexis, and Sly. I'm going to speak for 30 seconds. Oh my God, 30 minutes, not. Are you ready to end the episode?
I know your topic, and you could go.
I could, and I have, honestly. There's a lot of footage that did not make that TikTok. I'm going to talk for 30 seconds, and then Marissa's going to cut me off, and we're going to keep going until we've each all spoken for 2 minutes straight. So, are we ready for our rants of the week? I was talking to you three. Are you ready for your rants of the week before I start?
No, never.
I mean, I know what I'm talking about, but I don't know what's going to come out of my mouth. So
I feel the exact same.
Great.
All right, ready, folks? I'm going to get started. Marissa, get ready to cut me off because I'm not going to shut up.
I'm ready.
This is a teaser of the TikTok that I posted on my page like a few hours ago, so you might have already seen it. But Robert Pattinson is Batman, and he is a GD liar, people. This man lies for money. And he said so in an interview that had some airtime this week where he admitted that he has lied in his interviews over the years. And we are now in the best PR game of my lifetime, which is what has he lied about and what is the truth?
Speaking of liars, everyone's favorite liar, Andrew Garfield, was nominated for an Oscar. Yay, Andrew. I just want to talk about the Oscars for a hot second. I don't really know if this is a positive or a negative rant. I think it's kind of both. I'm very, very happy that Andrew was nominated. I was ready to riot if he was not. Also, Ariana DeBose was nominated for Best Supporting Actress for West Side Story. I'm so excited. And West Side Story is finally going to Disney Plus, so everyone can watch her performance and see she deserves the award.
Alexis!
I have a hot take about the Netflix Marvel shows, and it is that just being a dark or gritty show with poor lighting does not actually make it like the pinnacle of cinema and television. And that like those shows can be good or they can be bad, but like the fact that Daredevil was the darkest show we had seen from Marvel in like the year of our Lord 2015 does not mean it like needs to be held up to the gods as the greatest piece of writing that's ever existed.
All right, I'm going to go spicy with mine today. I'm going to say that there are 4 of the best MCU characters in the entire cinematic universe, and they are Maria Rambeau, Darcy Lewis, Daniel Souza, and Claire. Oh, fuck, what's her last name? I didn't write them down, but I love them. They're the best characters you can get, and I'm going to talk about how much I love them, and that's my rant for this week.
I'll be changing my rant to how much I dislike Souza. I'm kidding. That's a conversation for another time. Okay, so Robert Pattinson has had a lot of crazy shit over the years, including that he saw a clown, which we now know is a lie because he said so, that he lied about that in the interview. And like, I just need to know what's happening inside this man's head. I honestly think that there's some grounded approach to why you would lie in interviews to protect your personal life. And Andrew Garfield's actually spoken about that extensively. And I'll pick up on that.
Amazing. Thank you for the perfect transition back to Andrew Garfield and the Oscars. What else do I want to say about the Oscars? I've been trying at least to catch up on
Troy
some of the
Kitzer
Best
was also
Picture
nominated.
nominations. What?
Troy Kitzer was nominated for Coda.
Yes, I still haven't seen Coda, but it's on my list because I'm trying to get through all of the Best Picture noms that are at least available on streaming right now. I've seen Power of the Dog, Don't Look Up, Tick, Tick, Boom, which is not nominated for Best Picture, actually. So that's not even relevant to my point at this point, actually.
Okay, so listen. Well, you don't cut Liz off, so I feel bad cutting you off.
I do.
Everyone needs to cut everyone off in this game.
I think Daredevil is a fine show, but I also think it was a product of its time. And I think that most superhero media at that time was doing this like dark and gritty Christian Bale Batman thing because it was like the first time we had ever seen it. And it was really exciting. But I think it's important to remember that in the current Daredevil renaissance, that
Claire's last name is Temple. Thank you, chat. These are the best characters for many reasons. They are never main characters, which is very disappointing to me. But they're always there. They're always doing good things. Like every time you have a problem with anything, these are the characters that come in and fix all the problems, and that's mainly why I love them. But like Maria's just a badass, and like
So
she's
Andrew
queer. We're
Garfield's been
accepting it.
talking about how he's really trying to protect his personal life. And we have to acknowledge how this man's been doing press for months. He started early in the fall. He's moved into the Tick Tick Boom like launch window, which overlapped with the Spider-Man window. And then he continued through the holiday season. And now he's continuing through the award season press. This man has to lie eventually to survive with the amount of stories he's being asked for and the exhaustion it takes to do what he's doing,
Speaking of, again, Tick Tick Boom. I am so upset that it was not nominated for Best Picture, which is fine. Honestly, that's fine. You don't deserve it. If you don't appreciate it, you don't deserve it. However, what was nominated for Best Picture is West Side Story. And I am so happy because there was a little man that I went to high school with who said it didn't deserve Best Picture because it performed poorly at the box office. And I just want to say, did you watch the movie?
So I think it's important to remember during Daredevil's current renaissance that it can be a good show, but it's not just a good show, or it's not a good show entirely because it's dark and everyone thinks Charlie Cox is a hot boxer right now, which is a whole different thing to unpack. And I think it's equally important to remember that if these shows are leaving Netflix because they're going to be introduced into the greater MCU, those characters are likely not to remain as dark and gritty as we have seen them in the Netflix shows, which is why in Hawkeye, Kingpin...
All right, so Darcy is the love of my life. I have talked very openly about how WandaVision was the first MCU thing I seriously watched, and I fell in love with Darcy Lewis immediately. This character is literal perfection. I don't know what you want from me. I didn't get to see her because I watched the Thors like last, so I got to see a bunch of MCU without her, and anything she's in is immediately better.
Is exhausting. Andrew is exhausted. He is proving that you need to lie and you need to take liberty when you're being asked the same question a bazillion times a moment, which is why I think Robert Pattinson coming out with this statement that he lies all the time isn't truly groundbreaking. If anything, it's a preservation tactic. However, I am so interested in dissecting every word that has ever come out of his mouth because he's a liar. And not only is he a liar, but he's talking about clowns, which means so many other things that are less crazy for him to say out loud are probably out lies as well.
Okay. Also, yeah, I watched Don't Look Up, and why was that nominated over Tick Tick Boom? I don't understand. Like, it was fine, but I didn't think it was revelatory in any way. Like, Power of the Dog is beautiful cinema. That is absolute, like, all around, yes, 100% I understand. Don't Look Up.
Kingpin came to Hawkeye, and a lot of the conversation at the time was like, but he like punched this guy across the room and like it was funny, and he was in a Hawaiian shirt, and in Daredevil he broke people over the hood of a car, and that wasn't funny, and why is he not the same character? It's because he's now in a show that's being watched by legitimate children. And if the Netflix characters are going to be transitioned into the MCU, they will be in a property watched by legitimate children, which means that dark and grittiness has to go away. And if like that was the only thing making them good, then we're in a world of trouble.
All right, so rounding this out, we got Sousa, who I love so dearly. I love a period piece. I do not like Agent Carter as a character. She's fine. But Sousa made that show for me. Like, everything about him is just amazing. And Claire is, with the exception of Colleen, is the only good thing to come from the Netflix shows. We love Claire Temple. She's amazing. That's the rant.
Please know that Daniel Sousa is one of my least favorite characters in all of cinema. Like, he is up there with Wyatt Logan to me. Like, whoosh. I still love you, but wow.
I think that Sousa...
Do you know how rare it is to see disabled characters in period pieces?
I do, but I also know that it's not rare to see men put in the position to seem like they're feminist when they're really misogynist assholes. And I think that's what Sousa did for that show. But I still love you.
I love you.
And that's what this show comes down to, is that this is space to agree to disagree about what matters to us. And speaking of agreeing to disagree, I've got spicy hot take that I've just been frying over the oven. It's gonna be frying. You know, when you fry and you like you flip your vegetables. I've been frying up this hot take for a few weeks now, and I feel like I finally have space to like talk about it with y'all. And we're moving on to a segment of the show that we're calling Minimalist Men Are Gaining the Most. And we have a lot to say under this.
That's my confetti. I'm throwing.
Thank you. Yeah, this is like a confetti moment, right? Okay, there's something that's happening. I don't know if anyone else has noticed this, but I don't think our fan community, if you want to call it that, is one community anymore. I think that's a really hot take, because typically when you talk about an internet community of people that are gathered around a show or an artist or whatever, you talk about them as one community that might have subgroups within. I'm a community manager, okay? I've studied this stuff. Like, this is what I get paid to do every day. So there are communities that can have sub-communities within it. But I want to be bold and say that the MCU creator community, so like YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, like anywhere where people are like constantly creating new content and putting themselves out there as faces of the community, I think we're split in two, besties. And that's a pretty big statement to make. I think a lot of people would disagree with that. But here's what I've been noticing, right? Half of our community is ready to weaponize. And they will go to the comments and to the videos and the content of this other side of the community and talk their shit and be rude and not be wanting to have a conversation. And then there's this other half of the community that is willing to have conversation and willing to disagree and willing to learn from each other and commit to being better. They won't always be right, but they'll commit to being better. And I just want to say, I'm definitely here for the folks that want to be in this community. If you want to have conversation and you want to be a part of a community that wants to be better and wants the media they love to be better, I will be with you all day. But like, we have to talk about what's happening on this other side, because I don't want anything to do with that anymore. And perhaps having a little taste of what it means to go somewhat viral has really shown me that that community is not where I want to be. But I would love to hear what the rest of y'all think about that. And Alexis, I know that you've actually been conducting a little bit of an experiment about this, which is super fascinating to me. So why don't you fill everyone in on what you've been up to?
A couple of weeks ago, I did a video about, I stitched a video or responded to a video that Amanda Just Vibin had put up about Wanda fans. She'd been asked a question as to why Wanda fans were intolerable, and she posited that the answer was because of misogyny. And I said that I had noticed that female characters that had characteristics similar to male characters, that those male fans didn't seem to see anything wrong with what they were doing, but they saw a lot wrong with whatever the female fans were doing. And that this wouldn't have been as big of an issue, like people wouldn't hate Wanda fans, if it hadn't been kind of established in the MCU that Wanda was more powerful than Doctor Strange. And when that happened, suddenly an entire segment of the fandom decided that Wanda fans were intolerable for like whatever reason. And I got a lot of hate on the video about it. One of my male friends, followers, Dread Pirate Dad, commented and said that he felt like he had posted videos that were similar, that he hadn't received the same amount of hate for that I did. So a group of us, Dread Pirate Dad and me and Neil, and a couple other people posted the same video talking about Yelena beating Hawkeye in a fight. And we saw that the responses were actually kind of similar in that the same amount of people seem to disagree. Like the same amount of people that commented on my post that said I was wrong commented on Mike's post and said that he was wrong, but that they were much ruder to me and that they were more likely to attack the intelligence of the female posters than they were to attack the intelligence of the male posters. And so for like Mike, who had posted a video, a lot of people on his comment section said, respectfully, I disagree. No one has ever in my comment section, maybe twice, of all the videos I've posted, have said, I respectfully disagree with you. I never get that, right? I just get, oh, you're so stupid. Oh, clearly you haven't read it. Like you haven't watched it, right? It's like this attack on me not being able to enjoy something because I'm a woman. And I think what I have noticed, or not think, what I have noticed, full stop, since posting that video is that there are a lot of men, some that I follow, some that I'm friends with, that seem to gain followers by talking about misogyny. So I'll see them post a video about like, we really need to stand up against misogyny in the MCU. Like, let's stop picking on the girls. And they'll gain followers. And when I post a video like that, I start losing followers. And I get a lot of hate in the comments. They're getting praise in the comments from both men and women. And for me, something that I've wanted to say for a while is that I think if you really care, if you are a male presenting person or you identify as male and you are posting that type of content, that if you really care about misogyny in the MCU, it is better for you to uplift the voices of women who are trying to talk about that content and being ignored than it is for you to profit off of our pain by posting about it and gaining followers. And I think that's I have seen more, to go back to what you said, Liz, I have seen more and more division across those lines as well in the MCU community lately.
And I just want to add to what you're saying around like, I feel like it's happening in a lot of fan spaces, right? But particularly in the MCU, we've been fans of media that has acted within a binary, right? Gender binary, role binary, where women are put in certain stereotypes and men are put into certain stereotypes. But now we're a community that does not operate on a binary. We are gender diverse. We are diverse identifying folks with diverse backgrounds and experiences and perceptions of what they would like to see, which means that what we're speaking around in our community conversations has way more depth than it's perhaps ever had. So when we're talking about uplifting the people trying to have a conversation, I think it goes so, so deep, because it's not just uplift women talking about misogyny, uplift everyone who wants to be a part of the conversation around misogyny and how it affects the many different people that are now trying to call this community home. And frankly, I think there's a half of this community that's creating space that people can call home. And there's a half of this community that would like to maintain the norm. And if they want to maintain a norm that they want to be a part of, all the power to them. But like our show, for instance, this is the space where people can come and hear spicy opinions about how things can be better and be heard about that. And we can agree to disagree, but at least we can have a conversation, which is not what's happening on that other side. And I think it's really fascinating that when you posted that video, people were respectfully disagreeing with other folks and not you. Tea. Anyone else want to chime in? Because I could fill another half hour about this. This is gonna be the Liz show tonight. I've been waiting to say my shit.
I will say, for a hot second, there was sort of a trend going on a video to Stitch talking about all of the times you made men mad on TikTok. And so I answered with all of the times I have made men mad on TikTok, which is quite a few, fairly. And they were still mad. They still found the video and they still got mad. They were there and they were loud. And I thought this was a point we had moved forward from. Like, I had made my point, they had made theirs. I had deleted and blocked a lot of comments, and it continued. So I feel like, honestly, anytime I want to share my opinion, I'm going to make men mad. And at this point, that's something I just have to live with. Which sucks and is not fun, and does not make me feel safe or welcome to share my opinion, which is why I'm so grateful to have this space and this show and this community. Because when things, like, this is sort of what you were talking about, Liz, too. Like, when you kind of break beyond your safe little bubble of people who you know, think like you or at least operate like you respectfully and interested in having a dialogue and are, decent human beings willing to hear you out. It gets really scary really fast.
Mhm.
And it's just, you know what, guys? It's not the vibe. And it's not, I don't like it. But it
I
kind
don't
of
know
feels
about
like that's what I gotta do.
what Marissa's talking about, especially with the on your video of what makes men mad, men responding about how they're still mad about this. I studied social media and public engagement in college, like, right? That was my concentration. And looking at gender diversity and how people who are socialized as men react to things and how people who are socialized as women react to things is really interesting. And you tend to see people who are socialized as women, when they disagree with something on the internet, in general, tend to ignore it, scroll past, move on with their lives, right? And then you see people who are socialized as men tend to voice their disagreements. So, like, it's really interesting to see how that kind of shapes the conversation, where this one group of people, when they don't agree with something, they just move past it. It's not a discussion that needs to be had, it whatever. And this other group, when they see something they disagree with, they think it is their right to demand a conversation be held. And that creates such a negative space for holding these conversations. If people would look at something and say, why am I going to comment on this? And really analyze what their motivations are on commenting on things, it would radically change how we interact with these conversations on this platform. And so, like, to our audience, I want y'all to think about, when you go to comment on a video, whether it's going to be a positive or negative comment, think about why you're starting that discussion. And I found that is the most effective way to cultivating a space where we can have conversations. Like, Alexis could say, Sly, you're full of shit, Susan's a horrible character, and we could have a positive conversation about that, because we're thinking about, why are we engaging in this conversation before we have it.
Mm-hmm.
Something. No, go ahead.
Okay, it was really quick.
Can I make one side comment? Just one quickly.
Yeah,
that was
obviously.
That was a Liz talk.
Yes, it was a Liz talk. Yes. Liz talk. Go word it.
Correct. No, just like super quickly, while you were talking, Sly, about like, why do you feel the need to comment this? I literally got a comment last night of someone saying, why did I watch this? I don't know why you watched it, but why did you need to comment that? Like,
why is this on my For You page? I don't know. I'm not the algorithm.
Move on. Like, what is the point of saying that other than just like, I need you to listen to me right now? I don't
if
like
you've been
it.
watching
I don't
the
like
High School
it.
Musical watch parties, you've heard me say this, but I have a video about Pam and Tommy that has just surpassed like 400,000 views, which however you identify viral, like for me and the content I've always put it on the internet, that is by far the most a piece of my work has been seen. So viral for my context, right? And I get so many comments because in the video, I preface my point by saying, I have a degree. I have a bachelor's of public relations. So like I can talk about PR with a lot. There's a lot to what I say. There's a lot of grounded truth and theory in what I'm saying. And so many comments have said, you have a bachelor's, you have a degree. Bleh. And I'm like,
how dare you be educated?
I'm like, tell me more about that. Like, just like, that's the point you want to talk about. I also had someone tonight make a sarcastic comment about my degree, and they're like, you have a bachelor's of public relations? Wow. And they spelt bachelor's wrong. So I just want to say, not one of those comments, because I checked the profiles. I click. I see, who are you? Are you
Yeah.
a creator trying to engage with me, or are you like a user 157925, no profile picture? And every time there have been pronouns in the bio, they have not been she, her pronouns. They have been he, him. So
when I first started on TikTok, I think I'd only posted like 10 videos. I had like 100 followers. I made the mistake, not a mistake. I made the choice to post my review of a certain MCU film and drew lines between the sexism in that film to the man who had created that film. Right?
And you were correct.
And it was seen by 1 million people. I received threats. Like my inbox was filled with mostly men, just really annoyed that I had this take. I stitched the video Marissa was talking about, the like, what's something you said that has made men mad, like a couple weeks ago. And I mentioned that video and said that I had said things in that video about a certain creator. And he had recently done an article with Vulture in which he had essentially said that I was correct in assuming that the video was more about his power complex than it was about feminism. And I had a bunch of men comment and say that they were sorry my first video had been ill-received. I was just ahead of my time. It was like, excuse me, at the time he was creating that film, he had already been accused of assault by 4 different actresses. I was not ahead of my time. You just didn't want to listen to me. But when he stuck his foot in his mouth over a self-aggrandizing 4-page Vulture article, then you decided that I must have been right all along. I did a podcast not too long ago, and I was doing it with, it was a male host, and there was a male co-host that was on it with me. And my male co-host friend got asked what his resume was, and I was asked how it was to be a woman in a comic book store, how it was for me to walk through a comic book store as a girl. But my resume, like the years I spent in psychology researching how gender plays in media and how the way that we read and perceive the portrayal of gender in media affects the way we live our lives, that wasn't relevant to the conversation. So like, I think it's really interesting.
To a conversation about gender in media.
Yes, to a conversation about gender in media.
Main topic of the conversation.
Yeah, that was it. Like my resume, my history was like not relevant to that conversation. And I think there are situations where people should say, like, I have a background in this. Like when I think about talking about Moon Knight, I think at that point, it's important for me to say, hey, I've done a lot of research on this. I've published articles about DID. Like I'm in a space where I can talk about this with some sense of authority, right? But I also think that just to live my life, I shouldn't have to prove to you that I'm right about something. Like you should listen to me as if I had just as much authority as Straw Hat Goofy did or these other male content creators. Like my voice matters and should take up just as much space as theirs does.
And I think that circles in on like why it's important that we have this conversation on this show specifically, right? Because it's not just us trying to complain or trying to be mad or trying to be whatever word might come to mind when you hear us telling these stories or sharing our feelings or talking about our literal education and expertise that we have in these spaces. It's bigger than that, right? For us to have space on the internet, which we do because of all of you that watch us on TikTok and YouTube and Twitch and wherever you are, and we are so grateful for you. It also becomes our prerogative, I think is the right word, to be able to explain the kind of space we want to hold and that we want to build with all of you, which is if you're seeing behavior such as what we've been talking about, and you're all for that, this is not the space for you to be part of, and it's not going to be the space for you to be part of moving forward. However, in your journeys throughout the internet, if you're looking for space that combats everything that we've talked about and is trying to do some active emotional labor to make things a little bit better, then we hope that you tune in every week. And we hope you tell your friends looking for the same, that this is a safe space for them to come and talk and be seen and be heard. And they're invited to be a part of this space that wants to hear them and wants them to be heard, regardless of if they have 1 follower or 1 million followers, if they've posted a video or they'll never post a video. This is still space you can come and be a fan and be received as you are.
I have a punctuation for this conversation. Oh, you got it. You got it. Perfect.
I'm loving this trend, and
And-
I have so many videos I shall make for it. Stay tuned. Sorry, continue.
No, that was it. That was how I thought we could just punctuate.
Drop the
this
mic on
conversation.
that.
Yeah.
So we've said it. It's been said. I feel a lot better now that we've had this conversation with all of you, and I hope that you feel the same and that you feel like we've drawn our lines in the sand, and we're here to stay. And with that, now that we've been very visible about how we've been thinking and feeling, why don't we transition to a conversation around things that are a little bit more under the radar?
Yeah.
We've spent a lot of time looking and
Ooh, that was
thinking
a
and
good
watching.
transition.
Thank you. I've been working on my hosting transitions, and I love when they're appreciated.
Somebody call Allie Plum. Can we get?
Full
We need to get Allie
pause.
Plum to notice
Full
this show.
pause. Full
Allie
pause.
Plum has
Listen.
noticed Liz twice, and we need to get him to notice this show.
Listen.
I texted Liz. I said, I don't think that he realizes he has stands, and those stands are me and you.
I
There's-
love Allie Plum. Like, I would so be down with a campaign to get him on the show. Maybe more manageable, but I'm a really big fan of the journalist Max Gao, who's doing awesome work right now, and I want to get him on the show as well.
Absolutely.
I'm seeing some Allie Plum fans in the chat. Listen, let's just like very, very quick diversion into Allie Plum territory. I tweeted one time. Sometimes I go down the Allie Plum YouTube rabbit hole because I study his style of interviewing, and I study how he brings his research into innovative, twisted questions, and how that breaks down the walls of the people he's interviewing. It's very, very smart. And he responded to that tweet. And I said, okay, so clearly Mr. Allie Plum doesn't get a lot of people in his mentions, because here I am talking my shit and he saw it in seconds. So I decided to gamble with TikTok, thinking there's no way Allie Plum's on TikTok, and he is. But I said there's no way he's active on TikTok. He probably just has it. And I made this video to We Don't Talk About Bruno, in which I go, Isabella, your boyfriend's here. And I nod to Mr. Allie Plum. And didn't he comment the wave emoji?
He sure did. He said, hi, bestie.
Didn't I immediately turn off my phone? I was like, that's enough internet for me for this week. I'm done. But no, it's Allie Plum.
Cece's bringing up an excellent point. Just one more Allie Plum point. Allie Plum is interviewing Sean Evans.
I fell asleep
And-
to the interview last night. It's so good. So good.
It's
besties.
going to be my Super Bowl. I haven't watched it yet. I'm so
Watch it
excited.
tomorrow during Super Bowl. It's so good.
Absolutely.
I listened to it. I fell asleep. I had to I had to listen to it again when I woke up today, because I missed like 45 minutes of it, because I heard those voices and I was out like a light. It's a great interview.
Incredible.
I just
feel
have the
this
visual
whole
image.
conversation. I just feel like this whole conversation discredited Liz's excellent segue, because we completely ignored the segue to the next segment.
I was gonna say, I just now have the visual image of like you sleeping, and instead of like an angel and a devil, it's just various like journalists like all over your head. Like,
It's Allie Plum on one shoulder and Sean Evans on another. Yeah,
Yeah.
that pretty well does it.
yeah.
Yes. So Allie Plum, come to our
JJ
show.
also says, love Max Gao. Max Gao got very well known for his Lone Star coverage, and yes, he had a tweet about how the Strands are not the best characters in Lone Star, and it was right before he did an interview with Ronan Rubenstein, who is TK on Lone Star, and there was a spicy response. We love that. I love spicy interactions between journalists and the actors they're interviewing. It was a fun moment. We love that.
Well, why don't you take this opportunity to transition into your segment of our next game? What's been flying under the radar for you these past few weeks?
We're gonna talk about how much I love 911 Lone Star, and
You get 2 minutes. You get 2 minutes to prioritize.
I'll
Slide,
take
I'll
it, I'll
cut
take
you
it.
off.
they're making some questionable decisions with the storylines they're going with this season. It's fine. I'm rolling with it. I'm gonna tell you right now, I do not care about Owen Strand, and I understand it's the Owen Strand show, but I'm not happy about it, and I'm gonna continue not being happy about it. But what I am happy about is we're getting Carlos' detective arc on 911, and I am so excited. I cannot wait. I've been waiting for this for 2 seasons. Like, I love Carlos. Carlos is one of the best characters on this show, and he's getting more screen time. And it's not just because he's there with TK. Oh, I'm not going to talk about how much I hate how they got back together. That's a rant for a different time. But we're getting Carlos. We're getting Carlos by himself. He's being badass. We're getting Detective Reyes soon, and I cannot wait. I cannot wait for that story arc because he's killing it. Shout out to Rafa.
That
Rafa.
was so perfectly concise.
Yeah.
And I will say it is an utter joy to receive Sly's live text now because I too, big breaking news, put up a breaking news banner, Marissa. Okay. I am watching 911
No,
Lone Star.
You're not watching.
No, listen.
Pieces of episodes backwards.
Pieces of episodes.
I have watched the second half of 2 of the newer episodes, and I enjoyed them thoroughly with no context. It was
3-3 and 3-4.
The way the group chat looks is Liz popping into the middle of a current episode of Lone Star and finally like, don't say a word.
It's always 20
Liz
minutes
sees
in.
it like 4 hours before I do.
I
It's
honestly
never
think it's
at the
cruel.
start of an episode. It's just like, oh yeah, I turned it on, and Sly's like, how dare you?
And then she'll be like, who's that person? And I'm like, it's the parents from the previous episode.
But then she'll have the audacity to be like, oh, Sly, you're gonna cry.
Yeah, you're gonna be really upset. It's like, how do you know what the emotional arc is? You're 20 minutes into the episode.
But have I been wrong?
Yes, you were wrong when you said I didn't think I was gonna cry because Rafa made like 5 million emotions go across his face in like a second, and I teared up.
That's valid. That's
valid.
valid.
That's the point in the conversation where I say, so I'm really thinking about pink candles for the dining room. Who is pro this idea?
I wanted to say thank you to Cece for this comment. I do appreciate that you sang Taylor Swift at your karaoke for your birthday. Happy 22nd birthday to you. I love this. I love this for you. This is so fun. And I'm so glad you got to sing to Taylor's version. Hell yeah. Absolutely. Oh, yeah. We need more updates for 911 5B with also the new characters.
When 5B starts, we'll talk about it.
Sly and I are considering doing watch parties for 911 to catch me up on the like 3,000 episodes I've missed. So if anyone would be interested in joining
watch
us.
911, I know JJ likes 911 better than Lone Star. I want you to watch Lone Star, and then if you like that style, we can watch OG.
Let's do it.
I'm gonna make you watch Lone Star. If people will want to check that out, we'll do it.
We'll figure it out maybe in the next few weeks as we announce all the things coming out. Stay tuned. We'll figure it out in our schedule. I want to toss it to Alexis because Alexis, I know you had some highs and some lows from this week that you wanted to share. So the floor is yours for 2 minutes.
I think an important thing to know about me before I say this is that I am a tiny bit of a hyperfixator. So if there is something a tiny bit, so if there is,
I would argue the tiny bit, but okay.
If there is something that I think may be interesting or that I'm interested in, I learn everything I possibly can about the topic and I don't shut up about it. And a couple years ago, my mom said to me, Alexis, have you heard of Elizabeth Holmes? And I said, no, hang on. And for the next 3 years, I learned everything I could about that woman. And The Dropout, which is loosely based on the podcast and the book and the documentary, all by the same title. Okay, shut up. About Elizabeth Holmes and the rise and fall of Theranos is coming to Hulu, and they dropped a trailer this week. And when I say I lost my mind, like I've watched the trailer
really good.
times. It looks really, really good. And I think we may get some like good acting too. Like I'm excited about that aspect of it. So that was my high for the week. My low was
before we go to your low, can I chime in on this?
Yeah, go ahead.
My name is Elizabeth. I'm a woman in STEM who is blonde and owns a black turtleneck.
Are you gonna cosplay?
That was like that one episode of Stuff Radio where I was like, I can't wear the black turtleneck anymore. And you were like, we're gonna reclaim it.
I must reclaim the black turtleneck for all the blonde women in STEM Elizabeths that are out there. I'll do it for all of us.
It is the one with Amanda Seyfried.
Is that how you say her last name?
It looks good.
Yeah.
Wow, I've been saying it many ways. It's not.
I really like the one shot where she's in the car and she's like violently banging against the steering wheel. Yeah.
And I thought it may be a little bit of a callback because there was some. See, here I go. There was some reporting at the time that one of the only times one of her coworkers said that they felt like they actually saw her and knew who she was like yelling and screaming and like hitting things in her car, which was linked to like an instance where she used to sing like Metallica in her car, and that was like a whole thing. So I thought it was interesting to see that moment in the trailer. Anyway.
Y'all might finally get some STEM commentary from me, and that's all I'm gonna say. We shall see when the show. I might be keeping my mouth shut.
Yeah,
I might be keeping my mouth shut. I've had a wonderful career that I'm very, very grateful for, and I love being a woman in STEM. I love working in STEM. I love my work. I've learned lots, and this show is going to be a very interesting journey, and I'm very interested to see what they do with it. At the very minimum, I shall wear a black turtleneck for all of us. And with that, Alexis, what's your low for this week?
Yeah.
My low. So I actually find it. IMDb TV as like a platform, like a streaming service. I think it's been really interesting because they have brought to their platform a lot of old shows that I really liked that were unfortunately like canceled. So like Leverage is on the IMDb TV platform. Perception, which I'm currently rewatching, is on that platform. And they've renewed or brought some of those shows back, right? They renewed Leverage for Leverage Redemption. That renewal got renewed. But this week they renewed Almost Paradise. And I will say, I love Christian Kane with all of my soul, right? Everything in me. That was probably the most terrible show I've ever seen. I could not get through the pilot. And like baby's trying to like act his ass off, but you literally can't, like he's acting to nothing. Like the entire first episode was just like him like narrating what he was actually doing in real time. It was the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. And they renewed it. And I think there are other projects that he could excel at more. And it's kind of a waste to see him do that a second season of that show. Understanding that I love him a lot. I have very
Christian
strong
Kane.
feelings for this man, okay? He was in Nashville not too long ago, which is a while for me, but like it's doable, right? Like it's not like the Maldives.
A doable
like,
distance.
I could get to Nashville, yeah. And I was like, oh, the way the state changed when that man arrived, like I was just gone, okay?
True.
Like
The air felt different. The sun was brighter.
yeah, I cooked his recipes, and I don't cook. Like that's not a thing that I do, right? I tried new food, but it's a terrible show, and it was renewed, and it made me sad. That's yeah.
I would like updates on this.
I revealed myself too much there, but there you go.
No, I really don't think you did. I think I'm looking forward to more on that front from you, honestly. Marissa.
Okay. I'm second guessing myself because I think this is, on the radar of a lot of people in my circle, but I don't know that it's on the radar of, culture in general. Because as I mentioned in my rant, West Side Story had a less than desirable box office showing. There was a lot going on at the time. Let's be real. It was a rough, November and December was hard for everyone. But it's finally coming to Disney Plus, and I'm so excited. This movie is exceptional. It's one of the best movie musicals I've ever seen. It's a beautiful reimagining of West Side Story as it currently exists, or as it previously existed. Tony Kushner's book is phenomenal. The way he fleshes out characters that were stick figures before is just incredible. And I'm so excited for it to be on Disney Plus and hopefully have like a new life and a resurgence like we saw with Encanto. Because Encanto had a similar sort of box office performance. And I'm hoping that West Side Story has a chance to flourish, especially since it's nominated for Best Picture at the frickin' Oscars. I'm very excited to watch it again. I had a pretty special experience watching it for the first time. I got to go to an early screening and I was in a room full of film and theater people. It was all college students studying film and theater.
It's Rachel Berry's dream. You lived truly, Rachel Berry's dream.
The most alive movie theater I have been in since Endgame. We applauded after numbers like we were watching a live musical. We applauded for basically the whole credits. We applauded for 20 minutes. I sobbed silently into my mask, literally from the start of the overture. It was an exception. It was incredible. And I'm so excited to be able to watch it again. And I really hope that people will give it a chance. I know that I think it's 63, the 1963 version, it exists and it's available. But this one is so much better, you guys. It's so much better. And I can't hopeful.
Wait to see it. I'm literally so excited to see it. I couldn't fees going to the theater when it came out, but yeah. I can't wait. It looks amazing.
It's
Alexis, have you seen it?
Incredible.
Me either. So we will have to do some reacting or maybe we can coordinate. We all watch it within the same 48-hour window so we can talk about it or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. March 2nd on Disney Plus.
March 2nd. There we go. Party. I can't wait.
Yeah.
It haunts me that I have not seen it yet. I think about it constantly. Like other movies, if you've watched previous episodes of Stark Radio, you can think of other movies I might be haunted by not having seen in the movie theater yet. But I digress.
Well, we solved that problem.
Watch that 3 a.m.
Sort of. I mean, still waiting for that one to get on streaming. I'm waiting for that one too. Yeah,
lots of movies we were waiting to get on streaming. We do have Eternals.
Spider-Man: No Way Home for those unfamiliar.
Marissa being only whatever you just did where we could only see your eyes and it was all microphone, that was great. I really enjoyed that.
I realized I was doing a special project where I was going through and finding a lot of pictures of all of us, and this is Alexis's preferred pose. She loves to hide everything but her eyes in a picture.
Oh no, Alexis, what happened?
She's still on TikTok. What's going on? She doesn't know. It went away. Do you still have the link? Can you come back?
This is where we should put up an intermission sign.
Do you need me to send you the link again? Okay, I'm gonna text it to you.
We heard that. So it's okay, Alexis. We're coming to save you. You got it, Marissa? Okay. All right. While we wait for Alexis to return, I actually want to wait for my next point until Alexis returns. Because it's a show that I'm hoping Alexis will watch. Yeah, thank you, Claude, with the nice. Oh, hey, there you are.
Welcome back.
Somebody was talking about me and then I just vanished.
Your computer was nope.
No.
I wanted to wait for you for my Marissa. Do you have another high or low that you would like to?
Well, my low is that Tick, Tick, Boom didn't get nominated for Best Director and Lin-Manuel Miranda, or Best Picture, and Lin-Manuel Miranda didn't get nominated for Best Director, which is understandable. He's nominated for DGA, which is arguably more important in some instances. Without the Best Picture, it's kind of hard to get a Best Director. But I just, waxed poetic for 5 minutes about West Side Story, and I think Tick, Tick, Boom is even better. So I feel very strongly about Tick Tick Boom. So I'm kind of disappointed about that. But that seems to also be a general consensus. I don't think that's under anyone's radar.
I have a
given
hot
how
I have a hot
vocal
take.
I am about it.
I have a hot take.
Oh no.
I feel like this is based on nothing but my feelings, okay? If they had nominated Lin-Manuel Miranda and Steven Spielberg for movie musicals in the same Oscars, it would be to say, or it would be to look like they directed the same caliber. I think that would have been a comparison drawn.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a comparison worth drawing. I'm just saying, I think that's a narrative of all of this.
I'm pretty sure they're both nominated for DGAs.
Yeah.
Let me Google.
Do we want to, while we're talking about Oscars, do we want to touch on the visual effects drama that's going on right now?
Yes, fill us in. What's going on?
All right. So, of course, we see nominations for Shang-Chi and Spider-Man No Way Home, which were very much deserving of their visual effects nominations. And people are very salty, rightfully so, that Eternals did not get a nomination because their visual effects were incredible. And people are like, why didn't Eternals if these two did? And let me just say, there are other movies on that list that Eternals was way better visual effects, and they were not Shang-Chi or No Way Home. So if we're going to call out anybody, let's call out Free Guy, because that did not look great.
T, absolutely T. Yes.
I don't think that's a hot
Marissa,
take.
you're
I've seen
muted,
it
you're
going
muted.
around in our circles, but for other circles of the internet, that
I agree with
seems
that.
to be the spicy take.
Marissa, we can't hear you.
Oh my god, I just wanted to say that we should have gotten Jack to call in for commentary about that.
I think we
We
should
should
do an
have.
Oscar special closer to the Oscars and invite Jack back.
Okay.
Jack is
Perfect.
back. That rhymes.
Absolutely.
Something there. I'll think about it later. We should do an Oscar special is what I'm saying. I'm a bit infamous for my Oscar bingo cards. I will be making an Oscars bingo card this year. Stay tuned. I'll release it.
Cannot wait.
Shall be fun.
Yes, Claude is right. This is what I discovered on Google. Steven Spielberg is for like outstanding director of a motion picture, and Lynn is for first feature film director.
See?
So different categories.
See?
Different categories.
Do you see how they said they are not the same?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Speaking of award season, it's time for me to put my Dune hat back on since I'm the only person on the show that gives Dune the respect it deserves. I'm looking into the camera and I'm talking to you. Why haven't you seen Dune yet? And that goes to anyone watching who hasn't seen. If you've seen Dune,
I said I would watch it with you. Or maybe that was Fee. I think I said I would watch it with Fee. I'm sorry. You two are really the same person.
If you
in my
have
brain.
not seen Dune yet, it is worth watching. And I don't understand why everyone's all anti-Dune. I'm like, you won't even give it the chance. Like,
I'll give
now
it a
listen.
chance. I just don't want to watch it alone. That's all.
This is what happens when you give me controls.
Now, I don't think it's fair to compare two movies that set out to make something with opposite goals.
Yeah.
Like, those two movies are on complete opposite ends of the spectrum in the tone, the feeling, what they were trying to achieve, what they were trying to do. I agree that Dennis was snubbed for director. I don't care that like they got so many nominations. You need to see the rest of the movie. Or no, you're saying it's half a movie. It is. But here's what's so important about Dune. It's going to be the next big franchise, the same way Hunger Games was, the same way Twilight was. Like, Dune is the moment. And
That's why I'm shocked it's nominated.
I'm
It's
not,
like
because I've
nominating
seen
Star
the goddamn movie, Marissa. It's not shocking.
Listen, Elizabeth, I was told you would stop being my friend if I didn't watch Dune, and you're still my friend, so...
It's up in the air. I'm waiting until it becomes more publicly
You
accessible
haven't
to
seen
make my
Dune?
final claims.
No.
So none of us have seen Dune except Liz.
No, Liz is just yelling at us.
I'm yelling at all of you and everybody watching. It is worth
I thought
watching.
Marissa had seen it.
No.
Oh no, I'm just on my
You're
moral
all
high ground.
treading water with me because I'm going to force a watch party upon us to watch Dune. You will be forced
I'm
to watch this
down.
movie one way or
I
another.
will
Thank
fall
you,
asleep
Slime.
probably. Honestly,
I
just
will
don't
send
wanna watch it by
Timothy
myself.
Chalamet to your house and make him recite the entire script verbatim if you don't see this movie. And that's a threat, not a promise. Alexis,
Yes.
I'm checking in to make sure you're okay with my Timothy Chalamet threats.
I just keep every time somebody mentions his name now, I think of that Adore Me commercial where the answer to Valentine's Day is Timothy Chalamet.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't know this man. He looks like a starving Victorian orphan. That's all I know about him.
yeah, yeah.
For a while, I confused he and Oscar Isaac. Like in my head, Oscar Isaac.
They
was
play
Timothy
father
Chalamet.
and son in this movie. Go watch Dune, bestie. It's a great movie. I'm gonna leave that. I'm gonna recoil
Brush it
my
off,
Dune.
brush it
I'm
off,
gonna brush it off. Okay, I want to talk about something else. I want to talk about Murderville, the show by Will Arnett, TikTok.
Oh,
Y'all didn't like it?
Oh my god.
Why not?
you like improv. You were the captain of your high school
I
improv
was the captain
team.
of my high school improv team.
Improv
So it brought
gives me
much
anxiety.
joy.
I don't like it.
I thought it was. I think that if the show was to work, they had to go all in with the people that weren't actors by trade. Like they had Marcus, I'm forgetting his last name, the football player, who was very funny and into it. What's his last name? Do we know? I'm forgetting right now.
Marshawn, I think. No, it was Marshawn Lynch.
Marshawn Lynch.
Yes.
Very funny. He did
Catherine
excellent, right? So I think if the show was to work, they should have picked guest stars that were like from completely different like spaces and not actors. Like Conan O'Brien, even like he's like comedy talk show. I wouldn't say that's like acting. That's another lane too. But I'm just happy to see more improv in the realm of public possibility. I thought it was well worth the however many hours I spent watching it.
It was one of those shows that for me, I was like, this is a good show. Like, I think people that like improv or like that style of comedy or like comedy would really enjoy it. So like, I'm glad to hear that you liked it. It just wasn't like my type of show. Like I still watched it all. Like I was like, this is good. And then I went and like rewatched something I had already seen. Like, so,
Yeah.
you know, but I think it was a very
I
good
didn't watch
short-
every episode.
I have a question for Alexis because I am somebody who has for many years been like, I don't like comedy. Are you also one of those people? Because I don't think I've ever met anybody else who agrees with that statement.
It depends on whether or not I'm about to get kicked out of this live.
No,
I mean, I just said I don't like comedy.
Sly's done. That was enough. I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
I am.
just-
I
Doesn't
watched
do it for
Alexis
me.
sit on her Instagram story and said she couldn't make it through Parks and Rec, and I still talk to her. So
I missed that Instagram story.
Here's the thing. I recognize that it's a good show. Like I get why people like Parks and Rec. I am so not a comedy person. I wish I was. I'm just
fair.
not.
That's fair. It's
And
fair.
I think
don't
something
understand
about
that.
those shows, like something about like Parks and Rec seems I don't know, like, and even Murderville, like there's a certain, I think because it's like that improv comedy stuff, it seems like something more rooted in reality to me. And I prefer like this team of vigilantes who steal stuff or this hot guy who was on ER who travels through time. Like that's what I watch television for. So,
See,
so
I like
interesting,
shows where
because
the
the
stakes
point-
are low.
oh,
Stakes, I
yeah.
love what those stakes. Put them on the ground, man. Like
That's-
make those stakes low.
That's
Schitt's
that's
Creek.
so interesting because comedy is low stakes, high reaction. It's like nothing is going to happen, but you act like it's the end of the world. That's what makes it funny, is heightened reaction.
I want low reaction. That's
I
my
have only
vibe.
ever
like I
liked
get why
two-
people want
Mhm.
not.
I've only ever even liked like 2 stand-up comedians. And I dated
Same.
several, and I've only liked 2, right? Like, I'm just gonna be real honest, right? And of the 2 I liked, one, made some choices I don't agree with. And one whose name I don't even remember is that woman that does the sketch about being at Hamilton and being like, she didn't ask you anything.
Oh, yeah.
I like her, whatever her name is. That's
Catherine Ryan.
I want to shout out Bunky real quick because Bunky and I have the exact same top 5 TV shows, and I've never met anyone in my life that has the exact same top 5 TV shows as me. Bunky has taste. Everyone here on the show has taste, but Bunky specifically, I was like, no way, we're going 5 for 5 on these bad boys, and we did. So maybe we'll cap the conversation there for the sake of time and move to our last game of the show, besties. We have one more game to end things off with. I don't have photos of any of these people, so we'll have to just all think about it.
Okay, we're just gonna
of these names, but it's
imagine
fine.
it.
Marissa, take us away.
Oh, well, we're gonna bring it back to the MCU for a hot second. There's been a lot of Marvel news lately. Actually, not technically just the MCU. Marvel. A lot of Marvel news lately. And so we're gonna talk about some of the new casting announcements that have come out recently. And just give our general vibes. This is where we don't think about what we're gonna say and just say it and then probably regret it later. But that's why it's
our
fun.
specialty.
Yeah.
And we're going to be using everyone's favorite scale of 1 to 5 alpines. There are no half alpines in this scale. And
Alexis is still traumatized.
Alexis refused to participate.
If you're playing in the
Unless
comments,
there were
make
no
sure you're
half
using a
alpines.
full alpine in your Alexis. Just very briefly, in case there's new folks watching, do you just want to one sentence who alpine is so people understand the significance?
One sentence. Okay. Alpine is Bucky Barnes's white female therapy cat who helps him fight crime and sad emotions. And she's very important, and she's not included in the comics or the MCU as much as she should be. The end.
I'm so proud of you. That was like, look, you did alpine in one sentence, one long sentence, but one sentence. Sly did 911 justice in a very short amount of time. And no one has cried this episode. So I think we're doing great.
We almost made Liz cry with the Dune comments. But
I was close.
We're moving past it.
Very well said. Very well said. Marissa, do you want to guide us through this game since you came up with the list and you can provide better context?
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Everyone give a round of applause to Marissa taking up hosting duties with no notice.
Thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate the opportunity. Let me just get my tabs organized.
We got 5 alpines already coming in.
Minimize, great. Okay. And I lost you, so let me get. Oh no! Oh god, this is a mess.
Okay,
this is what happens when I get no warning. Okay, I found you. I found you.
Got it. Okay. Run with the wind, Marissa. You got this.
Thank you so much. So first up, I think the most recent news is Anthony Ramos is supposedly going to be in Ironheart on Disney Plus.
Right.
And Alexis
I don't
would love
have tea, but
to tell
let's
you
pretend.
about it.
Let's pretend I'm drinking tea for this one.
I think everything that I've seen, just me, that I've seen about Iron Man so far, the conversation has been around the men in that show. And Ironheart, for those of you who don't know, is a female character of color in the comics who is very young and very smart and builds her own Iron Man suit, right? Arguably smarter than Tony Stark, still not the smartest person in the Marvel Universe. That goes to Lunella Lafayette in Moon Girl and Devil Dinosaur, who is also a young woman of color. But so much of the show already has centered around, like, are they going to bring Tony back in it? Like, are they going to be blah, blah, blah? And I think one of the things for me that was really hard about Hawkeye was that it had originally been pitched as a show that was going to introduce Kate Bishop to the MCU. But really what it did was like tell us this weird Clint story and just kind of have Kate on the side. So it wasn't really her show. And I think if we're going to keep introducing these really strong female characters, but paying more attention to the men in the story, like we're not actually getting anywhere. And I just think that Anthony Ramos should have said no to this one. And let this show.
Well, you can't just continue a sentence after a mic drop moment.
I've been working on that one.
Perfect. I can't believe you sat on that.
This is my I quit moment of the show.
Bye.
I don't think. I'm going to try to censor what I say. I don't think any man
is willing to forgive some behavior that others of us are not.
I don't want this show to pass the reverse Bechdel test. That's all I'll say.
So how many Alpines? How many Alpines? Alexis, you start.
2.
Or 2 from Sly. Yep. No Alpines.
I said no.
How many, Alexis?
0 Alpines.
0 Alpines. I think we have folks in the chat agreeing with you. No Alpines. No Alpines. 5 Alpines for your line. 5 Alpines for the mic drop. There's a comment I'm not putting up, but I see your hot takes in the chat about Mr. Anthony Ramos. Okay, I have a hot take. I'm going with Sly on 2. Here's why Anthony Ramos deserves 2 Alpines. Because as Alexis said, Alpine is first and foremost a therapy cat. And I think he could use 2 of them. So if he's not listening to one, there's another to be like, listen. And then when he stops, ignoring that one, then the other one's like, listen. So I say 2 for 2 Alpines.
Okay.
I respect that.
Great. Let's follow the Hamilton train for a second and talk about Renee Elise Goldsberry on She-Hulk. All we know so far is that she's playing a character called Amelia, and that's it.
Strong name.
Honestly,
Do we know any Amelias from the comics? Like, is this anything coming up with this? Alexis, someone that knows everything about the comics directly off the top of their head. Fly, you as well.
I haven't read any She-Hulk. Sorry.
I've read one very popular She-Hulk run just so I could tell men they were wrong. And after that, I haven't engaged with the comics, so I'm sorry. But I will do some research for next time and fill everybody in. So I do love her, though. She could play anybody for me. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
5 Alpines?
No. Yeah. Renee Elise Goldsberry, for existing, gets 5
Yeah,
Alpines.
gets 5 Alpines.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Honestly.
Exactly.
Yep.
Marissa, where do you come in on this?
I wish I knew more. I don't want her to be underused. So I'm going to say 4 Alpines because I'm waiting for further information.
Valid. Leave 1 Alpine for when, the bar was raised.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. If she's going to have 2 lines, I would like more.
I will say that I was really excited. This is off topic, but when Dopesick announced that Philippa Sue was going to be in the cast, and she was criminally underutilized in that show. Like, she has maybe like 6 lines the entire series. Like, it was just sad. So
she's doing a rom-com with Simu Liu.
I know, I saw.
That's my Joker, and I will be so much worse.
But you won't be worse because at no time have you glorified abusive relationships for the sake of selling comics.
Make that like a headline of our show. That's going to be the soundbite when we put together a YouTube trailer. All right.
Okay.
Where are we going next?
Let's follow with your Joker and let's talk about Oscar Isaac.
All right.
I would like the floor for the next
Please.
30 minutes. I'm kidding. Okay. So, as the designated Oscar Isaac stan of this show, I take my title with the most responsibility, right? I really take my role seriously as the person who loves him the most on this platform. I think he's an incredible actor. He's got incredible hair. He was so good in Dune, it hurts me. And I'm very conflicted. I'm very conflicted about Moon Knight. I am not sure how I'm feeling going into this show. I'm listening and trying to educate myself and trying to hear the conversations from the people that this show will impact. And I am not sure if he should have said yes to this one. We shall see what the show does. Oscar Isaac as a person, 4 Alpines. Oscar Isaac as Moon Knight in the MCU, no Alpines yet.
Question mark out of 5
for me. Question mark out of 5. Anyone else want to chime in?
I just have been so hesitant for giving Moon Knight any sort of recognition because I strongly believe that they will not do this character well. Obviously, I can't make any strong claims to that as we have not seen the show yet, but call it a gut feeling that it is not going to be the most accurate or sensitive portrayal of this
Let's
character.
just remind the crowd of your track record, which is you were completely spot on about Hawkeye from day one.
So, you know, my gut has gotten me pretty far in the Marvel Cinematic Universe so far. So we'll see how it goes. Yeah, most of my gut feelings for Hawkeye were spot on. So Oscar Isaac as a person, I'll give him 3 Alpines. Oscar Isaac in this, I'm gonna go with a question mark. Cause it does not seem like he has a strong understanding of DAD from what I've seen from him so far, which makes my understanding of his portrayal of this character much more complicated.
I will be heavily invested in the PR campaign for this show and the interviews they set up for him and how they decide to approach promoting this. And I shall attempt to do commentary around it depending on what happens. I'm with you, Sly. It's going to be a challenge. We'll see how he does.
I'm gonna throw in a wild card. Poe Dameron, 5 Alpines.
Agreed.
How dare you bring
That's the only Oscar Isaac I want to talk about.
I just fell fully onto the ground. I just love Poe Dameron.
I have fallen and I can't get up.
Hold on.
We have
Help, I
lost
need life
Liz
alert.
to the floor.
I wish y'all could have seen what happened on TikTok.
Anyways, Moon Knight will be very interesting to see what they do with the press surrounding that. We have not seen much about the religious identity of this character or any aspects of the mental health disorder surrounding that's so heavily ingrained in this character, and the fact that we haven't seen any of that so far makes me feel like they're not going to touch on it, and it's going to make for a very interesting press tour for this show. So we'll see. They might surprise us. They might dive into these topics, which they really should. If you want a successful campaign, you would dive into these topics and talk about how you addressed these aspects of this character, but I don't see that happening, so we'll see.
Yeah. Question mark out of 5. Okay.
Alexis, were you going to chime in on that?
I was, but I don't know that I should.
Why don't you save it for when we get closer to Moon
yeah.
Knight? Yeah. Never bring up Poe Dameron without warning me ever again. Or we shall
What
see
about-
me fall to the floor much more
What
frequently.
about this?
I saw that while I was on the floor.
Oh, I know what I was going
Hard
to
to agree.
say, which is off topic, but I'm going to say it
Please.
anyway because I'm off topic
Yeah.
tonight.
I'm
Was
begging.
that so for those of you who don't know, I have my master's in experimental psych, one of my master's degrees, and I got a bachelor's in psych. I was very research focused, so I spent like 3 years in and running research labs. It was a whole bit. And a friend of mine and I recently started rewatching TNT's Perception, which was kind of, I don't want to say it was like a crime drama, but it is very much like they're solving cases type thing. And the lead character in that is a paranoid schizophrenic. And I, even on this rewatch with my friend who also has a psych background, we have both been like very impressed with how that portrayal went, especially in regards to conversations about like medicine and alternative therapy and like how that works. So I think that would be a show for like anybody interested in different ways mental health can be portrayed on screen, even though schizophrenia and DID are very different, that may be a show to like put in your Rolodex in preparing for Moon Knight and preparing for, I did that one just for you, and preparing for, preparing for the portrayal of mental health on screen.
That's a great call.
Amazing.
All right, let's hit a couple more people off this list of new additions to the MCU.
Fantastic. Sticking with Disney Plus shows for a second, Emilia Clarke is Abigail Brand in Secret Invasion. I don't know who Abigail Brand is. I'd love for you to tell me.
Who Emilia Clarke is?
Daenerys Targaryen on Game of Thrones.
You know,
That's who that is. Okay.
and Me
Mother
Before
of
You, she did
Dragons.
the movie Me Before You with Finnick Odair from the Hunger Games, that guy. You know, they did the sad love story movie.
Sam
if you've seen
Clafton.
it. It makes me cry.
Wasn't
every
she
time.
also in Solo or something?
Yeah. Yeah, she was a great movie. I love that.
I still don't know that I know
We
who this
cannot
is.
talk about Star Wars anymore. I will not.
Sorry.
Sorry, Alexis.
Oh, Liz, you've got to make me a watch list because I'm so behind on Star Wars
Bestie.
stuff. But we'll talk
Okay.
offline.
Emilia Clarke. Alexis. Floor is yours. How do you
Very
feel?
accomplished actor.
Yeah, she's playing which character?
Abigail
Abigail
Clarke
Brand.
is the character. Abigail Brand. In Secret Invasion, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I think what's interesting when we talk about Secret Invasion is that and I will just try to get through this really quickly. So Secret Invasion in the comics that has a very different relationship to the Skrulls than the MCU did, right? The Skrulls, or in the MCU, took the opportunity to portray Skrulls in a much more positive way than they had been portrayed in the comics. They were related to a lot of ethnic and religious stereotyping in the comics, and it was not a good brand, right? So she's a character in the comics that I don't remember like a lot of time being devoted to, but she is kind of a linchpin in that war. I'm interested to see how that translates on screen when there are very different relationships going into any sort of invasion than the one that we had in the comics. And I did know that IGN published an article saying that they felt like that character in the MCU was going to be a mix of a couple characters. So may not be the brand that we're accustomed to in the comics going into that show. But that's all I've really got for you.
No, I think that's a perfect base for me to now say my point, which is Emilia Clarke eats. She wipes the floor regardless of how well or poorly written a script is. Period. Emilia Clarke can act her ass off. And for that reason, she's going to get 5 out of 5 Alpines, because I think, much like I would say Kate Bishop, I think that the best parts of Kate Bishop were what Haley Steinfeld put into Kate Bishop. And maybe we're not necessarily what the script offered. you know, and I have a sneaky gut feeling that we might be in for a similar fate with whatever is in store for Amelia Clark. However, she will eat either way. She gets 5 out of 5 Alpines from me.
Yeah, I can't imagine it being anything other than wonderful. 5 out of 5. Absolutely.
I'd agree with that. Yeah, she's great, and everything I've seen so far from her. Why not be great here?
Yeah.
What I am interested in, and I want everyone watching to remember this, when we get close to Secret Invasion, it shall be interesting to see what the dude bros have to say about her, because they ate her up in Game of Thrones, which was a big dude bro show. So I am going to be very, very, very closely following the conversation around the character, the performance of the character, and Amelia Clark, and how those 3 very different conversations happen, and who decides to say what based on what they do with the character. Because I think a lot of folks do like her, and she might get really positive reception regardless of what the character does. Go ahead.
Oh, no. I was just going to say, I think, how do I say this quickly? I think it's been interesting, especially in the Disney Plus shows, to kind of see the female characters that have not been controversial and the ones that have. Like I'm thinking in this moment of the reception to Yelena was far more positive than that of Wanda's, right? And I think that is because Yelena's character, and I'm going to attribute it to the way it was written, is a little more manic pixie dream girl, right? It's a little more appealing to a male audience than Wanda being grief-stricken and powerful, right? Like Yelena is the girl that all the girls want to be, but she's also the girl that all the men want to date, right? All the straight men want to date. And I think with Brand coming forward, I expect that same type of like characterization, right? That almost harkens back to a certain someone who did a lot of television shows starring female characters, and the portrayal that someone kind of created this like strong female character that wasn't really a strong female character. I'm thinking of like the way Maria Hill was portrayed, but underutilized. And that is kind of what I'm expecting from Brand, regardless of her significance in the comics in the portrayal of the MCU.
Sorry, can I make a bold prediction based on what you're saying? I take what you've said and I raise you Olivia Colman. I think
I was going to do an exceptional. I'm so upset you ruined it.
No, I'm so sorry.
Ruined it.
I'm sorry. I got too excited. You take it. You take it. You do it. I'm sorry. Pretend I never said it. Go ahead.
Okay. Oscar and Emmy Award winner, queen of stage and screen, queen 2 times and award winning for both, comedy and drama, genius, Olivia Colman is coming to Secret Invasion.
And we praise whatever entity you praise for it.
Okay, Alexis, I have no idea what this name is or how to pronounce it, so I'm going to put it in our private chat and then you're going to say it.
I don't like having to be smart off the cuff, people.
Alexis needs 3 to 5 business days. To
Yeah, I do. I don't know how to pronounce this either.
Huh?
I don't know how to pronounce this name either.
Okay. We can put it on the screen for people to...
I've only ever read it.
Sly, do you know how to pronounce this name?
I'm deaf.
Valid.
Okay.
Very valid.
I'm going to say...
Sorry, there's always get me. You.
I'm going to say...
Don't expect me to pronounce things properly.
I'm going to say...
You know what? I believe that
Ranky.
names deserve to be pronounced
rank
correctly.
is what I was going
Names
with.
are important. So why don't we, at the next episode, come back and pronounce the name as we discover it is meant to be pronounced, because names deserve to be treated with the utmost respect, in my opinion. So we shall put the name on the screen. So do I. Let's. We will do our homework in return on that point.
a princess, then queen. I think most commonly queen in the comics, involved in protecting the invasion of Earth, but then kind of plays that like gray line in the more recent comics I've seen. But that doesn't mean I can pronounce the name for you because I've only ever seen it on paper.
I love that. Another queen for Olivia.
I was just about to say, like, they said, like, who plays a queen particularly well? And they went to exactly the right actress.
She has the awards to prove it.
Yeah. This is great. I can't wait. She gets 5 Alpines already. I don't care. 5. 5 out of 5.
Absolutely.
5 out of 5. Any disagreement?
I still don't know who this is. You haven't told me who this person is.
Oh, Olivia Colman is in The Crown. Olivia Colman won a bunch of Oscars and Emmys. Olivia Colman, what other projects?
Sly, you're queer. Have you seen The Favorite?
No, I have not.
Okay. Have you seen Fleabag?
No, I have not. I know there's a hot priest in it. That's all I know about
I don't know how
Fleabag.
to help you then.
I just love the setup.
with,
Sly, you're queer. You must have
It's
seen
a very
the-
gay movie. Excuse me.
No, I
That's
sincerely
valid.
loved
I
it. Like it
respect
made
that.
the day. Yeah.
I don't think I've seen any of these things. It's fine.
She's
It's
great.
all
She can
good.
do it all.
She really can.
I'll
She's like one of the greats of our time.
She's like a
Yes.
Meryl Streep.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting because if I'm recalling correctly in the comics, there's a lot of like battle she is engaged in. So it'll be interesting to see how that is done as well.
Cool.
Can't wait. Cannot wait. All right.
Okay.
Let's keep moving on our list.
Everyone
We have
will
a
be
couple more
pleased to know
controversial people.
everyone will be pleased to know that the majority of this list, the rest of this list, is all women. Let's. Yes or no?
I want to talk about Dakota Johnson.
Okay, great.
I've been waiting to talk about Dakota Johnson.
That's where I was
which
gonna go.
Oh,
This is like such a big conversation that's been happening when we talk about the earlier divide we were talking about on the internet and our communities, plural. Alexis, would you like to explain kind of your context or the context for all of us about who Dakota Johnson is playing? And Sly, feel free to interject as well.
okay. Here we go. Are we ready?
Yep.
So Madam Web is a character in the comics who has kind of a lot of dominion over other spider people, right? When you think of like your spider men and then all of the other wonderful spider people that have not been yet introduced into the MCU. And it's interesting because there have been multiple Madam Webs, like there are multiples of many comic book characters. The Madam Web, I think most people think of, is much older, has gray hair and a bob, is disabled, you know, it kind of like has reigned for a while, kind of that type of vibe. There's also a younger Madam Web that is far more like a femme fatale, kind of Cold War spy vibe. Not that she was one, but has that kind of like vibe in the writing and the depiction. And that seems to be the Madam Web that most people are assuming Dakota Johnson will be playing. And I don't know. We had kicked around in the group chat kind of talking about this before, and I don't want to say much because we don't actually know much about the film. But I will just say, if that is what they end up doing, I think it's a miss in representation. I think it would have, for me, it would have been really interesting to see the older Madam Web, to kind of add that age diversity in the MCU, to introduce another disabled character into the MCU. I would have personally really enjoyed seeing those things. And what I saw from the conversation happening on the Lovely app when this casting was announced was more like, oh, they're going with the younger Madam Web. And that just has some kind of ageist vibes that I'm not really into. And I think some of that comes from Dakota Johnson's history of acting and what people are assuming that she's been tapped for. So it may be that that's not right. It may be that she's playing some different sort of Madam Web that we haven't seen. But going on that knowledge alone, I think it is the miss to go with the newer Madam Web. And I will also say one of the things that the 616 comics do is a couple years out, like a couple years before a movie will come out, you can trace back and see that the comics have kind of changed their lineups and changed how they portray characters so that people that are getting ready to watch the film aren't shocked. So this is something that really happened with Yelena. Yelena had almost always been adversarial to Nat. About 5 years before the Black Widow movie was announced, she starts showing up in comics as more of a sisterly figure, eventually getting us to the point where the Yelena in the comics is much more like the Yelena we see in the films, right? And this younger Madam Web, while not that new, is still a newer introduction to the comics. So I think I'm kind of getting similar vibes from that as well, that it's more likely that she'll be playing that type of role in scene.
It is interesting and maybe important to note that this is a Sony production. It's not technically an MCU movie. So it's within that Venom, Morbius, whatever the other ones are or will be. I think there's Kraven the Hunter. That's the one. That movie seems to be coming. So it's like an offshoot, but it's still like under the same Marvel Studios like umbrella. So it's interesting to see like the decision making like parallel between MCU, like the MCU and Sony.
I have a spicy take
MCU
on
versus Marvel Studios. Yeah. No, I was just gonna say MCU versus Marvel Studios has been a really interesting divide that we've been seeing lately.
Yeah.
And this is where I have a bit of a spicy take. This is not me speaking about Dakota Johnson, so please don't take it that way. But I think she was such a safe choice. I think she's great. I think she's got real talent. This is not any shade to her. But in terms of Sony building out their universe, she's like such a trope to tap into, right? Like she's successful in the box office. She has mass appeal because of the privilege she has and the way she's able to present to the world. And then you take a character like this character who the fans are wondering which iteration, or is there a new iteration of this character? We don't know. I feel like it was a safe choice, and maybe that's what they needed. So for that, I'll give this 3 Alpines, but I am left wondering why. And I cannot wait to see what the why is. Like when we get the trailer, I hope this will make more sense. When we get leaks from set, I hope this will make more sense. But for now, I'm left wondering, what was the reason?
Yeah.
I just Googled Dakota Johnson. Oh, sorry. I have a total tangent. You go ahead.
Oh, no, my gut was going to say 2 Alpines because I literally don't know anything other than the casting announcement. Like, I know what other people have told me about Madam Web and, like, how I should feel about it. Or, I guess, like, what context I need to know to understand who the character is. But we don't actually know, and we don't actually know what they're doing. We don't know why Dakota Johnson is the choice. We don't know, like, why that fits, other than, like, big name Dakota Johnson, female-led Sony Marvel movie. That's literally all we know. So I don't know. I don't know. And I want to
say, no, go ahead.
I want to be excited about it. I want more female-led superhero films. I want more female-led, comic character films. But I don't have a lot of confidence in it at this point. But again, also, that's just because, like, what do we know about it, really? Other than, like, it's going to happen.
Go ahead, Alexis.
Oh, no. I was just, I was going to say it's an interesting choice. Somebody had said, I think it was either Liz or Marissa, that she felt like a safe casting choice. I think it was you, Liz. And I think it's interesting because I also feel like the premise for this film as like a female-led film under that umbrella is also a safe choice. Because there are many other, in my opinion, and I'm not telling anybody how to feel about it, but in my opinion, there are other more interesting female spider people than Madame Web, and Madame Web kind of puts herself in sort of a position where that's very safe, right? As a character, it's not a Silk, right? It's not like an Asian female spider person. It's not a Gwen Stacy, even, who is kind of defying the expectations that were set for her in comics in which she was involved in Peter Parker or with Peter Parker. It's kind of more, I think it's a safer story. It has, even though Guardians of the Galaxy was an MCU movie, it kind of has that same feel for me, where it was a property that like not a lot of people cared about. So like the expectations are kind of low anyway. And so it's a choice that doesn't feel as controversial for them as the more interesting choices that I wish they would have made. That is all I will say about it. I'm done now. Sorry.
I want to quickly throw this question to Sly, because Sly, I think this connects to the work you're doing with MC University a little bit, talking about the films that are Marvel, but not specifically in like this MCU timeline we find ourselves in. What do you think the story, like, what do you think the goal of all of this work Sony is doing is?
I think their goal is to take the characters that they have access to and turn them into something that's palatable to make money. From what I've seen so far, like, again, we're working our way through the history of Marvel movies that are non-MCU on MC University, and from what I've seen so far, it's them saying, okay, we have we have the rights to this character, we have the rights to this character. What can we do with that character that people go see and they can make money from? It doesn't seem like they have a strong narrative goal in a lot of the projects so far. It seems like more they're taking the names of these characters and rebranding them into something that will become a pop hit.
I feel like that's the perfect note to end the segment of the show on. What do you say, Marissa?
Make a quick 911 tangent, please?
Yes, always.
Okay,
do it in a minute again?
I could do it way under the minute. I googled
Amazing.
Dakota Johnson so I could know who that is, and the first thing that popped up was a picture of her, and I go, "Is that Shannon Diaz?" Apparently not, but she looks very much like the actor who plays Shannon Diaz on 911, who apparently is Devin Kelly, but they look very similar.
Very true.
Just saying.
Very true. All right, besties, we are hitting the end of our show, the end of our 2 hours. I'm so glad we got to spend some more time hanging out after a few weeks away. We have been spending a lot of time. JJ's really validating us out here in the chat. We've been spending a lot of time working behind the scenes. We're developing some new projects that we're going to be announcing very soon. Some new hot takes, some new spicy opinions, more of the show that y'all tune in for every week. So I encourage everyone, if you want to be the first to hear what's coming, to follow each of us on Instagram. All the same handles, I think, is what you see on the screen right now. Yeah, so everyone's got the handle up on the screen now. It's the same on Instagram. We always post on Instagram stories first. So if you want to know what's going on, head to our accounts, Instagram stories. That's where you get the latest news on this show. And that's currently.
What does that mean?
Stay tuned, besties. We are in for a roller coaster of a few weeks here on the show. So we'll be back with more rants, more hot takes, more MCU news, waiting for new projects to drop, more news to be announced. And in the meantime, we're developing even more of the space that we want to see in the world. So if you have friends on the internet in your life that love these projects, that want to come hang out and talk about this every week, please invite them to come subscribe on YouTube and on Twitch, and to come hang out with us on Instagram and TikTok, where we talk about this all the time. But with that, I will, pass the floor back around to everyone. Final thoughts, plug your shit, What note do you want to leave the show on tonight? Who wants to start? I can start. I don't mind starting. So I'm producer Liz everywhere on the internet. You can come follow me. I'm talking a lot about PR right now, actually. And we're talking a lot about PR moves people are making. I'm dissecting some of the award season press that's going on. So if you're interested in award season and you want to hear some dissection of the interviews and, the big press that's happening right now, it's going down on TikTok and on Instagram. So you can follow me there and let me know what interviews you're watching and you want to see some hot takes and dissection of. I'm going to head into Andrew Garfield territory very soon. I have a hot take on his red bottom shoes in the interview that he did with Dakota Johnson. I have a lot to say about that interview, and that's coming up next on my TikTok. So you can wait for that video sometime in the next few days over there. Marissa.
I am Marissa at Missabobissa on TikTok, Instagram, and Twitter. What do I have going on? I don't know. Just kind of hanging out, talking about Tick Tick Boom, talking about West Side Story. Probably going to be talking more about that as it leads up to the Disney Plus drop. Hopefully soon I will have a new episode of the thing where I talk about hair in the MCU. Hopefully. And, hang out. More Bucky with the Cake memes on Twitter, always. That's never going to die. Never. It's never leaving. Yeah. That's it. Come
and you're also on Andrew Garfield Award Season Watch.
Absolutely. I'm consuming it all. I'm guzzling it right up.
Who wants to go next?
I can go next. You can find me everywhere on the internet. It's like MC. If you want to hear me yelling about video games, check out Point in Progress. If you want to hear me yelling about non-MCU Marvel stuff, check out MC University. Our next episode is going to be Spider-Man 2 again. Please come check that out when we drop that. We're just coming back from a hiatus, so if you want to hear all what we've done so far, it's the perfect time to catch up before we start posting again. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
I'm at Alexis Blake Reads Comics. On TikTok, I do videos about comics and cats and the MCU, and I want to help you find the comics that you want to read, whether that be comics about a character you haven't read before or your first comic that you've ever read. So be sure to let me know what you all are interested in. I'll be happy to answer those questions. And on Instagram, I dissect media with my cat. But I will also be posting a call out for you all to tell us what you would put on a Stark Radio bingo card. So be sure to watch Instagram for that at Alexis Blake Reads Comics and send us in all of the things that you would put on a Stark Radio bingo card.
Or a bingo card just about us, about the four of us.
Bingo card about us, yes.
About us. Stay tuned for more. All right, besties, it has been a fun 2 hours.
Alpine's going to be the free space.
Oh my gosh. Alpine's going to be everywhere. That idea gets 5 out of 5 Alpines from me.
Wow. Oh my God.
All right, friends,
so
we will see
you what everyone says.
Next week. Stay tuned on Instagram stories where we'll announce the next show. But good night to TikTok. We hang up here first. So we'll see y'all next time.
Good night.
Make sure you're hitting the bell or doing whatever things you do on the platforms y'all are watching on, subscribing, notification. Well, y'all know the drill. Do it so you don't miss the next show. We're so excited to be back. Thank you for coming back after our little time away, and we'll see you very soon. We'll see you on Instagram and TikTok. Bye.